Today's subject is very, very, very important. We're talking about how to spot a narcissist, which for a lot of people, it may seem easy if you've actually gotten through the trauma bond or have dealt with multiple narcissistic relationships. But then again, it can be somewhat difficult at times. So let me just open this up. If you don't mind, just bear with me. Again, I'm hoping that everyone is having a great day. Great, great day. Uh, let's see. Let's open this up. And this is really crazy. I hate when my computer does that, when it just signs itself out of stuff and adds other stuff to it. Like changes the web browsers and everything else. I so hate that. Okay. So hopefully everyone's having a great day. Appreciate you guys if you're just joining in or you're joining me now. I would appreciate if you guys would just actually put down where you're coming from. I think that will help out a lot getting to understand my audience. The people that I appreciate you guys following me. I do. And I appreciate you guys tuning in because we try to give information. But I actually need you guys to really, really ask me questions. If you feel that you're dealing with a trauma bond or you're dealing with a narcissistic relationship, this is the best place to get some clarity and get some answers before I jump into recognizing the traits or the signs that most narcissists have. Why is this not starting? This has been like the Friday from you know where. It really is. Hey, thank you, Ty Rich, for joining. And thank you, WW Shipping and Hector. Yeah, this is what we're doing. We're actually talking about how to identify narcissists, their manipulative behavior, their lack of empathy, and their need for control. A lot of people don't know, and I actually wanted to talk about this, is there are different types of narcissists. I always seem to run into the covert types. I guess I'm the covert narcissist favorite flavor. But yeah, in all seriousness, as I became aware of what narcissistic abuse was, and I started studying about it, and I started finding out as much as humanly possible about it. I found out that it seems like covert narcissists are attracted to me. I guess that's because I'm always giving, and I tend to look past red flags when it comes to people that I trust. And usually it's because the narcissist has tricked you into trusting them. But there is the malignant narcissist. There's the covert narcissist. Like I said, I seem to be their favorite. There's the overt narcissist. There's the communal narcissist and the antagonistic narcissist. And I actually want to break this down just a little bit further. Let me just change my glasses. Yeah, I'm gonna change my glasses so I can read this correctly. So you'll find that the malignant narcissist is manipulative, they're sadistic, they're deceptive, and they are very, very vindictive. So do me a favor, if you have experience, I'm actually monitoring two chats because I'm multi-streaming this. If you have dealt with any of these narcissists, please, or if you know, or if you want to clarity as far as signs that each one of these have, please put it in the comments. I definitely would appreciate that. Narcissistic personality disorder is a real thing. Okay, I'm not here to give a lesson or a class or a lecture on this. It's a real thing, and I think people need to be aware of it because many people go into these relationships and they can feel like something is literally off. They just know something's wrong. Something's wrong with this person. There's something wrong with this relationship, and I just can't put my finger on it. Narcissists actually depend on this. They depend on the fact that you can't put your finger on this because it allows them to string it along. One of the things that actually is like the telltale, the red flag And you usually can, when you're dealing, I've dealt with covert narcissists. So this kind of leaks into the situationship or leaks into the relationship. And do me a favor, if if you follow like Narcissist Talk or you follow this subject, go ahead and share this, okay? Because I'm going to give some really good information. The This sign from the narcissist you don't notice immediately if it's a covert narcissist. An overt or malignant narcissist, yes, you will. But one of the things that actually begins to define a narcissist or a person that has narcissistic personality disorder is a sense of grandiosity or excessive self-importance. Okay, anybody that's been in a relationship with a narcissist will know that this person thinks that they are the most important person in the world. You could literally ask them, like, well, who do you admire? Who do you think do you give props to, or would you give you believe in? The narcissist believes in nobody but themselves. Okay, they believe in absolutely nobody but themselves. They are the most important person. They admire no one. The reason being is because, thank you very much, Glenda Thomas. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you, and I thank you for being a long-time watcher. TT, thank you for joining. Alex One, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining. So, yeah, that's one of the things. And please put in the comments if you experience this. This person, they are the best thing since freaking sliced bread. Okay. When you talk to them, you would actually feel like they ran the world. They're emperor or empress because they believe that they are the most important person in the world. Again, through my experiences with covert narcissists, this kind of trickles into the relationship. This dynamic starts to show up just a little bit, then a little bit more, and then before you know it, you have God living in your house as far as they're concerned. Another red flag that you notice is you can't correct this person. You cannot teach this person. You cannot give this person helpful criticism. You can't do this because in their mind, you're below them. You're beneath them. So you're not in a position to show them anything. You might have been doing something all of your life. Let's say you knit. Let's say you're a photographer. Let's say you're an artist. Let's say you're an architect. You build buildings. One of the things you're going to notice is the narcissist can do everything that you can do. Okay, let's get that straight. As far as they're concerned, in their mind, they are capable of doing everything that you can do, and they can do it better. Okay, so if you try to correct this person, you will start to notice that rage. Even with a covert narcissist early on, if you try to critique them, or whether it's constructive or not, okay, they can't take it. That just automatically causes an injury because you're telling them that, hey, Missy, Mister, you don't know everything. You're really not that important in the scheme of things. Okay, yes, they should be. If you believe that you're in a relationship with someone, the other person in that relationship should be important to you. I get that. Okay, but the narcissist goes above and beyond. A, they don't think that you're important. And B, they need you to worship them. They need you to put them on the pedestal because in their twisted mind, their twisted identity, they feel they are above everybody else. And I mean literally everybody else. With the covert narcissist, this usually plays out in the victim hero narrative. A covert narcissist, in fact, most narcissists, they always play the victim. They are the victim in everything. Nothing is ever their fault. However, there comes a stage where they are the hero. Okay, there's no gray line. It's either or. I'm either a victim or I'm a hero. Either I saved everybody or everybody tried to make me feel bad. So what they do is they decide that, okay, if I can't play the victim because now there's grandiosity and excessive self-importance is coming to the top, they're going to begin to tell you when they notice that the victim stories are not helping. Oh, I didn't learn. One of the things that I used to hear from my ex narcissist, in fact, from a couple of them, I have my ex husband named Covert Narcissist in my wow. Big D. Okay. Okay. Well, that's one way. That is one way. I'm assuming that you have either business dealings with children, because I'm a firm believer in no contact. Okay. Um, if yes, I get it. If you have children, you have business dealings, you cannot go completely no contact. I understand that, and I appreciate that. And thank you for putting that up there. But usually I tell people, if you've got nothing to do with this person, meaning children, business, financial matters, just take them out of your contacts. Because I'm going to tell you something, and this is just from my experience. The experience, yes, very minimal. So you're going gray rock. Um, what I have found is, in the very beginning, when I was admittedly in the trauma bond, every time that person's name came up in my phone, my nervous system would just go batshit crazy, and I just actually had to just remember the number and take their name off of my contact list, because I got children. I got to still deal with them. But I got tired. When I figured out this is what's triggering you, this is what's making your nervous system go kind of crazy, then I was like, okay, yeah, let me just stop. Let me, just keep this person completely off of my mind. Gray rock is very important, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it is very important that you detach, because it is part of the healing process. You have to detach. You have to find a way to take all of the emotional chaos that the narcissist will try to thrust upon you, and you have to diffuse that. Okay, because it does you no good. It's not going to help you heal. I think deep down inside, the narcissist knows this. Okay, this is why they try to hoove you back in. And it seems like just when you get it all together, just when you think that you're scot free and you're clear, they reach back out. And it's usually for something stupid. But they reach back out because, like I said, it feels almost like they can sense that you're getting your ish back together. So, they say, well, let me reach out and see if I can still, reel them back in. I think that's why they call it the Hoover. One of the things that I noticed when I was studying this, it took me a while to put the pieces together. I don't know about everybody else. Maybe I'm just kind of slow on the uptake. But yeah, it took me a while to figure out a lot of this stuff, because the person that spoke the most, about narcissistic, uh, hey, what's up, Bob Hazel? Thank you for Hazlet too. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. You know, I studied a lot about Carl Jung. I consider him the grandfather of figuring this stuff out. Okay, I think he did a lot, with his work about shadows and stuff like that. And then, the way he described it, he never used the word narcissist. He just said empaths and dark beings as shadows, you know. And it took me a while to put the pieces together, and he made some great discoveries, but it seems like we've added so much language to this dynamic. We've added the flying monkeys. That's a term it's kind of recent. Gaslighting, a few decades ago. It's kind of recent. Even these different types of narcissists, the way they're described, their actions. This is kind of new, because I think humanity has just gotten hip to the fact that there's some evil MFers out there. And I think sometimes when you put a name to something, you begin to understand it better. Okay. And I know for a fact, once you put it, that's why I do these lives. I know for a fact, once you put a name to the abuse, narcissistic abuse, once you put names like gaslighting, once you put names like manipulation to this, it makes it easier for everyone to understand what they're going through. But hey, good morning, bro. Big I, good big I. Well, it's where I'm at. I don't know where you at it, but it's afternoon. But hey, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. But I think when we put a name to this stuff, when we go over the things that psychiatrists and psychologists and mental health professionals use, I think for the layman, for the person that's actually just experiencing narcissistic abuse, the clarity is very important. It's a very, very important point. Well, another thing that you'll notice if you're in a narcissistic dynamic, and this is very important, the narcissist, and please put in the comments if you've experienced this. They have recurrent fantasies of being powerful, successful, beautiful, and important. It kind of latches onto the first thing, the sense of grandiosity, but they have this thing, and I think when you look at the DSM-5, when you begin to look at it, when you start to look at these things that mental health professionals utilize to diagnose people with NPD, when you begin to look at this stuff, you're like, it kind of all links in together. And I think that's why they say you have to actually get 5 of these things. There's actually 9 what they call criterion that a mental health professional will use to say, this is a narcissist. Now, I get it. We're not mental health professionals. We are people that are probably stuck or are healing from narcissistic abuse, from a really shitty person. Um, so I'm not telling people to go out there and diagnose people, but I'm going to tell you, this is kind of a great, rule of thumb for you to figure out what you're dealing with, to help you figure out how to get clarity within this relationship. And when you think about it, and this is just me, I need to slow this down. When you really think about it, at what part of a relationship, I mean, a relationship where one person is saying they love you and they say that they care for you, and you by default automatically feel this way, at what part of a relationship should you need clarity? Put that in the comments when you feel that there's a time that you should need clarity in a loving relationship. Your partner is supposed to love you. You're supposed to love your partner. What is the reason for having clarity? That means that something is off. That means that something is not right. That means that the logic side of your brain is it's doing what I call breaking free from the fog. Okay, because many people in narcissistic dynamics, they are caught in this thing called the fog. They can't see anything clearly, and they continue to doubt themselves, and they continue to, their intuition is kicking in, what I like to call people's spidey sense. It's kicking in. It's there. It's going full blast. But you tend to ignore it due to the conditioning that has come from the narcissist. The narcissist has conditioned you, believe it or not, to ignore common sense, to ignore the red flags, to ignore what they're doing to you, to make you feel that it's your fault. Again, there is no loving, caring, fulfilling relationship on this planet where you feel like you're second guessing yourself. And I never say that to make people go home and say, you know what, I was just watching this live today and he made a lot of sense. No, get clarity. Get clarity. Don't just go like this. Because sometimes people do. Thank you for following me, Barbara Hazlitt too. Thank you. I appreciate you. I hope I'm saying your name right. You know, So yeah, I never tell people go home and play junior psychologist and just destroy their relationship. Some people just have bad moments. Some people just have, bad times. Some people just don't have common sense. And I'm not saying that to throw darts at anybody, but we all grow up and have different experiences and see certain things and hear certain things and come to an understanding of certain things. And unless, which makes it weird, unless this person has grown up with you in your family, they would never, there's no guarantee that they're going to understand the way you're thinking. So sometimes you do have a little conflict, but usually in a loving, caring relationship, you can meet eye to eye. You could, because at the end of the day, both parties feels that this relationship is important to me. Hey, Becky Thayer, thank you for joining. This relationship is important to me. I want this relationship to last. I want this relationship to grow. You'll find that narcissists don't want any of that. That's not what they wanted. That's not what they entered into this relationship for. This is not something that they are aspiring to have. They don't want it. They want to get their supply and continue their cycle and keep the shame down. That's it. Nothing else. And I think that the sooner that many people begin to understand this, life life becomes not only a little bit easier, but you get some of your sanity back because you find yourself always second guessing yourself. I always thought of myself, especially after the second go round with a covert narcissist. I found that I'm a very confident person, and I think the first two people they tried to get that out of me, but for whatever reason, I broke free. Suffered through the trauma bond from those two for maybe about a month tops. Okay, I don't. I think I didn't get patterned. I didn't fall for the cycles. I didn't fall for the patterns. Um, but yeah, I got out of that kind of quick. But the last one, they had to be. They were pros at this. They were actually pros at this. And it took me a long time to not only get clarity, but to get balance because I found myself doing the same thing that many, many survivors do. I was doubting myself. I wasn't confident anymore. I spent so much time trying to keep the peace that I lost so much of myself. I'd wake up in the morning and literally be like, I don't want any arguments. I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of the gaslighting. I'm tired of all of this. You know, I tell this story in many lives, and I hate to be repetitive, but I think it brings it all home. Um, I didn't truly realize something was wrong until one day I was walking past a bank and they have like that reflective tint on their windows. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did. I literally walked past the bank window and then I went like this. Who the hell is that? I had lost so much weight. I was disheveled. It looked like I had just threw on anything that I could throw on. Don't even know if it was clean. I was in distress. And then when I backed up and I looked at myself, I was like, what the F? What the hell happened to you? I've always been that guy. I'm not, I don't do that name brand thing or nothing like that. But I've always been the guy that, hey, listen, if someone invites me to something last second, more than likely I can get in the door. If someone, if I'm just going around, I kind of like wearing button downs. I kind of like wearing ties. I kind of like wearing suits. That was the person I was before I met this person. Now, I mean, when I met this person, I had one pair of jeans because I had one pair of jeans and one pair of sneakers because in my mind, jeans served no purpose. I had a professional job. I kept myself professional. I was a photographer. No, I had no use for jeans. I had no use for hoodies. I had no use for sneakers. By the time that relationship was done, not only did I have tattered jeans, I had 3 pairs of sneakers. I got hoodies out the yin yang. Yeah, I was running like a press business. I was doing shirts and hoodies and stuff. But at the same time, it wasn't me. So I guess I had to admit to myself something is wrong. And that's usually the first stage. You start to admit to yourself something's wrong. Something's not right. This is not me. I'm in my 40s. So what's going on with this person? This is not how I've been all my life. Even as a teenager, Skins and Wallies. That was the type of person that I was. And I'm sitting up there and I'm saying to myself, how did I lose myself? How did I lose myself over the course of a few years? We lose ourselves because we jump through hoops trying to save a relationship that was never real. Okay, we got pulled in just like the narcissist. has these fantasies and these dreams about how successful they are, how important they are, how rich they are. Even though they have these dreams, we get drawn into this dream. And do you know why? And this is what the narcissist depends on. We care. We care. No one knowingly stays in a narcissistic abusive relationship. It doesn't happen. You would run if you knew, as soon as you know that this person is just trying to hurt me, this person is trying to destroy me, this person really doesn't care anything about me, we would leave. It wouldn't matter if we had a business together, it wouldn't matter if we had property together, we would leave. And many people, they feel that, I've wasted all of these years of my life with this person that never cared, that I gave my heart to. I married this person. I'm engaged to this person. I've had kids with this person, and it's kind of a slap in the face when you figure out they never really cared. They never cared. They didn't care about what you did. All they cared about was you at some point pissed them off because you did those first two things. You basically start to see through their mask and say, what the narrative you've been pushing on me, it's not real. I see you for what you are. That whole thing about the second part in DSM-5, the first part about being super important, you start to realize it's like this is fake confidence. They want you to think. They want you to think. See, everybody else gets the mask. They don't have to prove anything to anybody else except that they're a good person. That's all they care about. They want everybody that they come in contact with that doesn't really care about them, that I'm a good person. That's the first half of the mask. Okay? The second half of the mask is what you see. Okay? And it's very important to them that you reflect back what they're trying to impress on you. So if you find a narcissist that feels that they're super important and they know everything, and my favorite term, they can do everything better than you can. Thank you guys for joining. They can do everything better than you do. You will question that, and not in a bad way. I'm one of those people that I know I don't know everything. Let's say photography. Okay, I know I don't know everything. So there were times in the beginning when I used to go shoot fashion shows that I would just ask people, hey, listen, I really don't understand. Do you use a shutter priority, or do you use do you use ISO, to set up your camera, and because I don't know everything. And the same way I raise my sons, that's the only way you're gonna find out is if you actually put your ego in your pocket and just ask somebody. And I'm gonna tell you, as far as egotistical, photographers are some really egotistical people. They really are. But you ask the question. The narcissist will say something, and I've experienced this so many times. They will say something that makes you go, huh? That doesn't make any sense. And you being a person that doesn't think you know everything, you'll probably say something like, I didn't think it worked that way. Can you explain it to me? Now you've found yourself in the position, as far as they're concerned. Again, now you're walking on eggshells. They will say things like, why are you testing me? What do you mean? You don't think you don't think that I know what I'm talking about? Why do I have to explain anything to you? That's because they don't know. And instead of just like a normal human being saying, you know what, maybe I misspoke, maybe I really don't know, they're never going to do that. And my favorite thing was with the last one was, oh, I've got an aunt, or I've got a cousin, and they went to school for this all of their life, and this is what they do all day, and that's what they told me. Doesn't make it right if they told you that, and more than likely you're lying if that's the case. So yeah, they have this strange way, and after a while, I'm gonna be honest with you. After a while, you get to the point where you just don't want to deal with it anymore. You don't want to deal with the arguments. You don't want to deal with basically the craziness. So you just suck it up and walk away. I'm not gonna. The last time I said anything about this, all hell broke loose. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, because the narcissist has what many psychiatrists call, and that's what those first two things come in, they have fake confidence. They have to impress the fact that they are all that in a bag of chips, as the kids would say. They want you to think that, and they try so hard because they know it's not them. It's not, they're not built for what they're talking about. They are very, very, and I hate to say this, and I'm not throwing darts at your narcissist abuser or even mine's, they're very basic. Everything that a narcissist talks about is something that they heard from another person and they integrated it into their fractured identity. This is what they have done. They've integrated something that they've heard from someone that actually knows, and they just integrate it in. It's like another puzzle piece. They say, okay, I can use that at a later date. It's just like when you met them, that stage, that beginning stage, the mirroring stage. Okay, the stage where they mirrored everything about you. And this is why from the very beginning, you know that this wasn't real. You know that this wasn't real from the very beginning, because just for the fact that they knew to mirror you, they're not selling you anything except the fact that they want to get into your life. Okay, salesman trick. They tell you, mirror the customer, just don't be too obvious about it. Okay, the narcissist is very obvious about it because they understand the importance of mirroring a person. Where does the fractured identity come from? The fractured identity, okay, and I'll explain this. Thank you for the question, Bob Haslett, too. Thank you very much for that question. The fractured identity comes from, at a very early age, a narcissist is actually formed from trauma. Something happened to them at a very early age, okay? And I'm taking a long way around because I need everybody to understand this. So, at that age, that trauma brings shame to them. It makes them feel very shameful as a person. So when the rest of kids in their age group they're going to school, they're creating their identity. They're listening to their parents, they're interacting with their family, they're interacting with their friends. That's how that identity is built. That's why you are who you are right now. Because what happened was, certain experiences, certain conversations, certain things that you heard actually built your identity. You absorbed it into yourself and you actually found how to make it work for you. The narcissist, since that trauma has been introduced and they understood that it brought them shame, that's been their whole life, fighting down that shame, pushing that shame down. They don't want to experience that shame. So while everybody's growing and becoming functional human beings, they're only worried about the shame. That's all they're worried about. And I talked about this yesterday. Along the way, they learned that if they lie on people or lie to people, it gives them a return on investment. It makes them feel better. They think that they're smarter than that person. So that builds on that fractured identity. Because most people know, well, you can't go through life just lying to people. It's kind of an effed up thing to do. So that becomes part of their identity. Oh, I can manipulate people. Now I don't have to deal with my shame because now I feel that I'm better than that person because I'm able to fool them. They do all of these things along their life and they never slow down to stop to just be a human being. This is why, and this is a term that actually mental health professionals use. You can look it up. It's not just me. Just look it up. Okay, fractured identities is something how mental health professionals describe a person with NPD or narcissistic personality disorder. So yeah, they have gone through life basically. If you look like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, if they run into 1,000 people, they have, if while they're mirroring people, they say, you know what, this thing that this person does makes them kind of special. People gravitate towards him or her for this trait that they have. You know what? I'm going to take a piece of that. When you have a conversation with a narcissist, you will find that you are not talking to a single individual. You're talking to a multitude of people. You're talking to a multitude of people that they have absorbed into their fractured identity. They don't know who they are. And the way that you can tell that a person does not know who they are and they have a fractured identity, narcissists and people with other mental health disorders, not all, but many of them, is they can't reflect. That's how you grow. That's how you change course on the person that you are. That's how you grow to be a different person. You reflect. Whether you make a mistake or you do something great, your mind automatically clicks and says, okay, let's reflect on this. How can we take this to the next level? Or how can we tone this down? You know, if you get in an argument, see, a normal human being, a person that is mentally somewhat stable, because I think we all have just a little bit of instability, but a person that is mentally stable, let's say they get in an argument at work with their coworker or their supervisor. It happens. We've all witnessed it at some point in our work career. We've witnessed that, heated discussion between a supervisor and an employee. Both of those people, if they're dealing with a full deck, are going to reflect after that. See, that's where apologies come from. That's where sometimes you got to get fired comes from, because they reflect. They look at the whole situation as a whole. They don't look at the situation based on the narcissist mindset. The narcissist mindset is very black and white. How does this help me? How is this person useful? Or how is this person no longer useful? That's it. How doesn't it help me? How does it help me? How is this person useful? How is this person not useful? Everybody in their life, that is how they look at it. Mental health professionals say that narcissists don't see people as people. They see them as constructs in their mind, something that is constructed in their mind. And they automatically, while they're looking at you, while they're talking to you, they're creating this construct of the person that you are. They may have known you for 5 minutes, but in their mind, they're creating this construct because they have to figure out kind of quickly, are you going to be useful to me? Or are you just going to be a waste of time? Not so much in the relationship dynamic of, hey, listen, are we compatible? See, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. If you're trying to figure out compatibility, I get that. Are we compatible? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. The narcissist literally means, are you going to be useful to me? I'm not giving anything back to you. I need you to help me grow. If we're in a relationship, I am not obligated to help you grow. Okay, I am not obligated to help you grow. Think about that for a second. Think about that for 1 second. You're in a relationship with someone that feels that you are supposed to give. And due to the fact that they feel that they're superior to you, they honestly feel they have to give nothing back to you. That comes to entitlement. Okay, they don't care. Hey, let me stop and say hello to Cut Friends High, and Honey Jones. Thank you guys for joining. So yeah, when you look at the beliefs of being special and exceptional, again, you just need to have this person adhere to five of these criterion for them to be diagnosed by a mental health professional as a narcissist. Not me making this up. I'm actually reading off of the sheet. I'm literally reading off of this sheet. Okay. So whenever the narcissist says things like, and you'll find this near the end, oh, there's no such thing as a narcissist. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Okay. There are so many papers, there's so many documents that you can find online that will help you get clarity. You're welcome. You're welcome, Bob Hazlitt, too. Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. They want, one of the things that narcissists will always say, oh, there's no such thing. As mine as you said to me, oh, that's just a trend. That's just something that people are saying online. No, it's real. And I think when Carl Jung was alive, I don't think they had access to the web. Okay, I really don't. So with that being said, yeah, this has been around for a little while. There's actually passages in the Bible that speak to narcissism. That actually speak to narcissism. Why do you think when we talk about the female covert narcissist that we talk about the Jezebel spirit? Think about that for a second. So again, we have three that just comes along: beliefs of being special and exceptional. The narcissist always feels that they should have after they came out, they should have destroyed the whole crop behind her or him. They really do. Have a conversation with someone you suspect to be a narcissist. Just talk to, if you suspect that your partner or your friend or your workmate or you're being scapegoated in your family and you think that maybe this Minister Robinson is right. Let me go ahead and put it to the test. One of the things you will find is this conversation will circle around the fact that they are exceptional. They truly believe that they are exceptional. Okay? Conversations with narcissists, after you get out of this, after you heal, and that's part of the reason why I do this. Stick around because I'm not trying to push anything. I have free audio books. All you have to do is go to my Service Plus, and they're the complete books. I'm not going to give you half a book and say do this. I'm not going to do this. So they're completely free audio books. I have a course. I have clarity sessions. Okay, so find what fits you. But one of the things that I have found once I got clarity was when you're speaking to a narcissist, you're going to notice a couple of things. Okay, I think I put this up once before. If you go to a narcissist and you act like you don't know somebody that you both actually know, and you're like, nah, I don't remember this person. Why does this name keep on coming up? The narcissist will describe this person based on, after they go through the immediate, they got this color hair or they're bald or, they drive this car. After they get past that, the narcissist will automatically default to what importance or non-importance that this person serves in their life. Think about that for a second. Who describes people like that? Oh yeah, his car, or her car, because they always take me. They always, you remember they always, all I gotta do is call them. They always lend me money when I need it. Or I really don't speak to that person that much, but you know who I'm talking about. Every time I ask them, can they help me? They're never there for me. I don't even talk to them that much, but I know who you're talking about. This is how the narcissist thinks. They will try to fool you to make you think there is a gray line when it comes to things like empathy and how they treat people. But if you're out of the fog and you're starting to get clarity, you see right through it. You begin to see right through it. I call it the gift that the narcissist leaves us with once we get clarity. The only thing is you got to get clarity. Another thing, oh my God, all three of the narcissists I came involved with had this. The excessive need for validation, praise, and admiration from others. This is a huge red flag. The narcissist always needs validation, admiration, and praise from others. Think about that for a second. See, I'm one of those people, and many people are like me. Okay? If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to talk about it till it's done. That's just me. That is just me. I set up events for my non-for-profit. I don't need you to validate that I'm doing the right thing. After I set it up, I might come to you for some constructive criticism, but I don't need validation. I just had a discussion with this lady. I know for a fact they're narcissists now, but they were trying to gaslight me into giving them validation to the fact that they say everybody needs validation, which I just gave her the spot look. I was like, what? I was like, no adult really needs validation. They may seek it, but they don't need it. You don't survive based on what somebody else thinks about you. Most healthy people, most confident people don't care what someone else thinks about them. As long as you're doing everything the right way that you believe is the right way, you're going to move forward. Again, I'm the type of person, I'll come to you for constructive criticism after I've done what I said that I'm going to do. That's just me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have, oh my God, this lady said and said, well, even kids need validation. I had to break that down to her. I was like, no, kids need reinforcement that what they're doing is right. Okay? We're talking about a 5-year-old and a full grown adult. There's a difference. Okay? Validation for a child is not the same as validation for an adult. Okay? Admiration for a child is not the same. It's not the same can of worms that it is for an adult. And you have to realize that as an adult at some stage. At the end of the day, and this is what my grandmother used to always tell me, not everybody has your best interest in mind. I think your grandparents told you the same thing. Not everybody has your best interest in mind. So why do you put your trust into other people? I mean, how many times have you put your trust in somebody as a young adult and they sent you down the wrong path? So you kind of learn, most functional human beings kind of learn that, well, maybe this validation thing isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Let me just go ahead and do what I need to do. The narcissist needs constant praise. They need constant validation. Everything must be done. I tell this story a lot. In fact, it's in one of my books. So we're playing that anything that you can do, I can do better. So the narcissist in my life decided, oh, I'm going to write a book, because I got covers of my books on the wall. I've been doing it for years. I think I was first published in 2009 when I was first published, So I got, pictures of the books and the covers on the walls. Oh, I'm going to write a book. So once we get past the point that how come word won't go to the next page, true story. Okay, true freaking story. It became like every paragraph. What do you think about this? Every paragraph. What do you think about this? So finally, I had to put a stop to it. Okay, I was like, why don't you just write the whole thing and then we can proofread it together? I'm trying to be supportive. I get that. In a relationship, you should be supportive of your partner. Okay, but it's kind of distasteful to me to see an adult constantly looking for validation. So then I guess I wasn't doing what was expected of me. So they sent it to someone in their family. And then they told me, well, since you're not going to help me, I'm going to send it to this person. Months later, they come back to me and they're like, they didn't even look at it. I don't know what they're doing, but they didn't look at it. And I was like, that's a whole month. You could have been writing the rest of your book. That constant need for validation, that constant need for approval. Okay? Again, most adults, most functional adults, they don't seek that. They just go through life. They do what needs to be done. I don't think the people that we look at, like Steve Jobs, or, especially Steve Jobs, people we look at like Steve Jobs, like Elon Musk, anybody. I mean, hell, damn to like the biggest narcissist, the orange guy in office, when you look at these people, don't ask other people for approval. They don't. They just do what needs to be done. They start the process, get most of the way through it, then they circle back around for constructive criticism. There is that you will not have a conversation with a writer like James Patterson or Stephen King, or I guess the lady that made the Harry Potter thing. You won't sit there and have a conversation with these people, and these people are going to turn around and say to you, you know what? I wouldn't have got through this book unless every time I wrote a paragraph or every time I wrote a chapter, I had to have someone proofread it and give me their opinion of my book. This is another sign that the narcissist doesn't have confidence in themselves. This is another sign. Thank you, baby dolls. Thank you for the like. This is another sign that they don't have confidence. What you're seeing is that mask. They're trying to project the fact that they're very confident individuals. But again, if you pay attention to the signs, you soon find out that they are not very confident. And then the bad thing is they try to chip away at your confidence. That's part of the reason for the gaslighting. Okay. What's the number thing? Um the entitlement. And guys, if this is resonating with you at any point, please put it inside the comments. Okay, put it inside the comments. You know, again, I write books, turn them into audiobooks. I mean, I just got my little bit of money from Amazon because the books are on sale there. I turn the books that deal with narcissistic abuse, only those books, and I turn them into audiobooks. Okay. All you have to do is hit my Service Plus, and I'll tell you exactly how you can go listen to them. Okay. And for free, completely free. Okay. So yeah, I keep the movement going. I keep the now movement going by having those books on Amazon. Okay. But for people that are struggling, that are just getting free, that are trying to get some clarity, I said, let me make this available for free. People on Amazon are still going to buy the books if they're going to buy it. Some people don't want an audiobook. Some people want, what is the name of your book? I've got quite a few. Barbara has that too. Hit my Service Plus because TikTok doesn't like people sending people offline. If you hit my Service Plus or go to my profile, that'll kind of get you there. You know that thing that where they let you put a place to go at. That'll probably get you there. But yeah, just I think you follow me. I can just send it to you in a message. It's cool. However, whatever works best for you, I want to make sure that the people get the support that they need. You know, again, I've got to keep the movement going. I'm never going to sit up here and say, oh no, I just give away everything for free. No. And it's because people sometimes need a little bit more. Sometimes people they need that one-on-one. They need somebody that's going to listen because people get tired of going to people that don't understand what they're going through. I think that's the most depressing feeling ever is you finally decide I'm going to talk to somebody about this. You know, and you go to a family member or a friend or someone that you feel you can trust and they just don't get it. They just don't get it. But yeah, back to the entitlement. Narcissists feel that they are entitled to everything. They feel that they're entitled to your finances. They feel that they're entitled to whatever property you have. They feel that they're entitled to whatever you own. They feel that they're entitled to your admiration and your validation. They feel that they are entitled to everything. And then we go back to them feeling better than that they are better than everybody else. They don't feel that they have to return any of that. They literally feel like I don't have to. All that I am asking for, I am never going to reciprocate that to you. So just get that out your head. You know, one of the things that I notice about narcissistic dynamics is one of the things is that they tend. In fact, the last one I had, I constantly told them that they were a parasite. This is what they do. Once you start to figure out what the hell is going on, hey, Tinsy Bell, what's up? Thank you for joining. Once you figure out what you're dealing with, you will truly see that the narcissist is a parasite or a virus, whatever you want to call them. Because they never give anything back. They just take from their host, the empath being the host. That's all. That's what they do. They take from their host. If you have gotten free from a narcissistic relationship, I can guarantee if you look back at that relationship, you gave everything that you had inside of you. You gave your finances, you gave your love, you gave up your joy, you gave up your peace. You were always there for them in their time of needs. If they stubbed their toenail, you trying to find a band-aid, you were always there for them. Even during the love bombing stage, were they ever there for you? And I need you to be honest about this. Think about that for a second. Not the illusion that you painted in your mind that we're a team. Not that illusion. The reality of it. Were they ever truly there for you? And that's not me trying to mess up anybody's relationship. That's not me trying to call another person a bad person. That is not me trying to throw a dart at somebody. That's just the truth. Because the people may change, but the pattern never changes. If I've learned nothing in this last, I guess, almost a year of actually deep diving into this stuff, is that the pattern never changes. Just the people, just the locations. Everything else stays the same. The narcissist is kind of stupid like that. And that's why I kind of say the narcissist is like a virus, because it's the same way a virus acts. I do the same freaking thing every freaking time. I don't change. I'm not going to grow. I'm just going to be a virus. I'm just going to be a parasite. A flea doesn't decide that it's going to, you know what, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to get my degree in architecture and I'm going to build a building. It doesn't do that. It's a parasite. The parasite knows that what I do. What I do is I find a host and I drain them. It's no different than the narcissist whatsoever. You know, user, thank you for joining. Thank you. Dysfunction, thank you for joining. And David, thank you for joining. And Vivian, thank you for joining. You know, we have to begin to look at, again, sometimes you have to take off those glasses of hope and potential. I say this every live because that's what's keeping most people stuck, is they're holding on to this ghost of hope and potential. They hope that it's going to get better. This person does have potential. This person can change. And it usually falls in your lap. They can change if I ignore the disrespect. They can change if I bend over backwards to keep the peace. They can change if I love them a little bit harder. See, at the end of the day, even the hope and potential is causing you to put in effort that they're never going to put in. The narcissist is never going to put in any effort to save this relationship. In fact, there's some place with a narcissistic smirk watching you jump through hoops. But you kind of get your payback, and I'm going to tell you that near the end. You kind of get your payback, and you don't even have to act to get it. But anywho, you know. So another thing is, did I do feelings of deserving of special treatment? Yeah, they do that. Now here's where it gets crazy. Okay, exploiting others for personal gain or selfish reasons. Is this not what the narcissist does? I don't care if you're a male or female in a narcissistic relationship, you were exploited. Yeah, and I'm not trying to shame anybody. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shame a soul. Here comes the freaking puzzle. I'm not trying to shame anybody through this. But you were exploited. Once we begin to look at the relationship on a whole, here comes the freaking puzzle. Okay, there we go. Hold on one second, guys, because I can't see myself because they put the puzzle in front of the screen. Oh, that looks like Philly. That's crazy. That is crazy. Okay, that should do it. Okay. So yeah, it was an exploitative relationship because what are you doing when you exploit someone? What are you doing? You're tricking, you're manipulating someone into giving you something that you want. Sometimes it's not. But see, a lot of people think, you know, hey, listen, it wasn't really a narcissistic relationship. Because they didn't need a place to live. Because a lot of people will say narcissists, they go hard. They never have a place to live. So they go hard to try to rope somebody to finding a way to find a roof over their head. So a lot of people say, nah, that's it. They didn't want that. Or they say, well, the narcissist, especially if it's usually a malignant narcissist or overt narcissist, they got their own money. That's not their problem. Their problem is they need to control people. They say, well, they didn't really want my money. So, you know, that means that they're not a narcissist. Again, there is something that they wanted from you that they freely took. You know, their supply comes in many different forms. It can come in shelter. It can come in admiration. It can come in money. It can come in taking care of their kids. It can come in so many different ways. Okay. Again, you have to remember the only goal is to protect the mask. You don't even figure into that. So let's say, you run into this handsome or this attractive narcissist and you think you're winning. You think I got this eye candy, whether you're a male or a woman, you're looking at it because that's usually the first thing that triggers us to look at somebody. Damn. You're looking at this person, you're saying, okay, I'm winning. And then, you start a conversation, as most people do. I'm not with anybody, so yeah, let's talk. Let's see if we're compatible. You know, when a narcissist finds that you have something that they can utilize, conversation shifts right into mirror mode, right into speeding everything along. You're probably going on a first date within an hour. Okay, because they need time to figure out how they can exploit something that you have. Hey, Coach Teresa, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. They need to exploit what you have. Now, my favorite, the thing that made me actually decide I got to get the hell out of here was the lack of empathy. Criterion number 7, I actually memorized that like early on when I'm studying this stuff. Criterion number 7 states lacking empathy or being unwilling to identify with the needs of others. That was the deal. Hey, hello. That was a deal breaker for me. That was a deal breaker for me. I mean, I'm not going to go deep into the story, but I lost vision in this eye. Remember, I told you earlier I like doing photography. I lost vision in this eye, and this eye is just like a big blur sometimes. So I was bummed the hell out. Really was. And you would think in a relationship, let me say it again, in a relationship, not a 1 week relationship, not a 2 week relationship, not a 1 month relationship, not even a 6 month relationship. 7 years sleeping in the same bed with this person. This person could give a shit about my eye, what I was going through, refused to console me, and actually outsourced my problem. I was told, literally, after I was told, why do you want to talk about this now? Okay. Listen to that. Listen to that. I'm talking to my partner, the person that says that they love me. Okay. They literally said to me, why do you want to talk about this now? It's late, 9:30 at night. Okay. I got to get my sleep. Yeah, but this is kind of bothering me. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. That's what I did. Because I'm like, well, why do I have to put in a request to speak to you about something that is making me feel super depressed? The next thing, I guess, again, they have no empathy. They try to fake that they have empathy because they know that is one of the things that gives them away. Okay? Narcissists know they've been doing this shit for years. They know if they get busted, usually that's the reason why. Because it sounds like you're talking to like Spock off of Star Trek. There's no emotion, there's no empathy. They could care less about you and they need to hide that for as long as possible. So the next thing I heard was, well, don't you think, and this is her showing that she cared, supposedly, quote unquote. I'm showing you that I care. Maybe you should go speak to a therapist. To this day, I just don't understand it. Like I said, not involved with this person for 2 weeks, 2 months, or even 6 months. 7 years. 7 years, and my feelings of depression, my feelings of I'm really in a dark place right now, my feelings of I don't know how I'm going to get through this, it was met with maybe you should go speak to a therapist. In other words, I was told point blank to my face, there's nothing I can do for you, and there's nothing that I am willing to do for you. Now, when you've been in a relationship with someone that says that they love you and you actually feel that you love them, that is the most hurtful thing that can happen. And they know that because since they have no sense of empathy, they know that's what usually dissolves the mask because they can't even fake it well. They can't even act as if I care because they don't. They don't. You may care, and I'm not taking that away from you. I'm not trying to say you're wrong for that. Because you're a human being. You've been exploited into thinking that you care. You've been gaslit into thinking that you care. You've been conditioned and patterned into thinking you care. So I'm not saying you did anything wrong. In fact, you did the best thing that human beings could do. You actually tried to love someone that couldn't be loved and definitely wasn't going to love you back. So the next thing that we find out about narcissists, and oh my freaking God, this is where the triangulation comes from. Oh my freaking God. So criterion number 8, being envious of others or believing others are envious of them. Every narcissist that I have dealt with, I have heard so many shit stories about their family, and then 5 minutes later they're calling them up asking them for something. Okay, there was one narcissist. They have a family member that's into music. Okay, the things that I heard, and then they triangulate. This person thinks, hey, I really don't care. That's your talent. I don't sing. I don't play musical instruments. I stay in my lane. But I have heard the most, like, wow, isn't that your family member? Because they're envious and they think that everybody, see, narcissists think that everybody thinks exactly like them. So they figure, let me get ahead of the curve and get this person or smear this person or hurt this person before they hurt me. You know what? If I wanted to be an asshole, if I really was about revenge, I could spill all the tea. I could, hey, what's up, PD? I could literally spill all the tea. But why? What good does it do me? How does it help me? Those people got to deal with that, not me. The second one, same way. Same way. Everybody was against them. It falls into that victim mentality. Everybody was out to get them. Everybody wished them ill will. This, that, and the other. If they could, every other narcissist that I've been with, I used to always have this thing near the end where I would say, you take accountability for nothing. Each and every one of them, I had to tell them, you take accountability for nothing. It can't be where did you fit into this going sideways? You tell me where you played a part, because when things go sideways, we always play a part. It may be a minimal part, but it's a part. And things don't get fixed in your life until you actually come to grips with it. Narcissists, they can't do that. Again, I go back up to the top of this list. You know, they're either the hero or the victim. They're either the hero or the victim. There is no freaking in between. If you've dealt with a narcissist, think back to those conversations. They are envious of everyone, including you. Yes, including you. That's why the relationship started to feel weird, because you're in a competition that you didn't sign up for. You are literally in a competition that you never signed up for. Think about it. And who the hell does that with their partner or their husband or their wife? What happened to the good old days where people tried to build each other up and help each other and get to the next level like a team? Now the narcissist is trying to compete with you because you go back up to the top. They feel that they're superior. So they've got to beat you at everything that you do. Everything that you do. They do the same thing with their family. They do the same thing with their friends. You know what? I want to tell you something. If I knew that someone was a narcissist, I'm talking about, for my acquaintances or something, I would never let them around anybody I'm having a relationship with. I would never let them in my house if I was married. You know why? Because they're always going to push the boundaries. They're always going to try. And you know why? Because they got to be better than you. In their mind, they have to be better than you. And if you have something that they feel that they can't take from you, they have no boundaries. You got to have empathy to do that. In order to understand that you're doing something wrong to somebody, you've got to have just a little bit of empathy. They don't care. They don't care. So their family member, their best friend, it don't matter. Oh, you got that? I'm envious of you, or I think you're envious of me. Let me see if I can take that from you. Let me see if I can make this person want me. See, a lot of people don't realize that. I think we, instead of looking at the fact that this person is super dysfunctional, we look at the fact of, well, most human beings don't act like that. But a narcissist is not most human beings. They're not most human beings. They are more worried about keeping that freaking shame that they've been carrying around since a child down to the bottom of their feet because they don't want to deal with it. A person with empathy will notice that something is broken inside of them, or a person that can reflect will know that something is broken inside of them and they will want to fix it. Just so that, not for anybody else, but so that they can become a better human being. Would you agree? I have found things inside of me that through the years I have decided, that's not a good trait. That's not a good way to be. It's not good to speak to people this way. It's not good to do this. And I changed because I'm able to reflect. The narcissist will not do that. That's why they're caught in this Groundhog Day type movie doing the same ish over and over and over. The narcissist never changes, only the people that they bring into their circus. Okay, let me say that again. The narcissist never changes, only the people that they bring into their circus. Okay, and again, as a person that has survived, I'm not shaming you, but I'm not going to hold your hand and tell you, oh, it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay, because the longer you stay there, the worse it's going to get. The more that you decide that you need to go back, the worse it's going to get. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Why would I knowingly let somebody walk into a lava pit? Why would I do that? Because I'm going to tell you, if every mental health professional, there's all these papers, all these research papers saying, hey, listen, when you go back to the narcissist and their rabbit ass mind, they think that you're back because you deserve the way they treated you the first time around. That's literally what they believe. They believe that you deserve this. I gotta go to. I've been looking at y'all on TikTok for so long. I'm so crazy. I didn't even go to my other platform. But yeah, this is what they literally believe. Their goal is not to get on that. How do people say it? They're not trying to be a power couple. They're trying to be a power person by stepping on your neck, by taking your resources, by being able to get you to do stuff for them. They're not trying to build a team. You're not in a Michelle and Barack Obama dynamic. You're not. This whole thing is for them to keep their sharing down. And once you get clarity, you begin to understand it, and the deception starts at you. The mask starts to shatter. It starts to crack. You start seeing the evil, toxic person that they are. And then when that happens, then shit gets real bad. Then you've got no choice but to go. Or they'll try to go first while they're smearing your name all the way out the door. But don't worry about that. But that's why I do what I do. This is why I have courses. This is why I have audiobooks. This is why I have print books. This is why I do one-on-ones. This is why I do this stuff. Okay? I've got a whole non-for-profit. Okay? Yeah, I could switch gears and do something else with it. But at the same time, emotional healing is important. I think most of the world looks past that. They only look at they don't look at the mental abuse that people go through. They say, well, it wasn't violent. Well, it is violent. It is violent. And I need to get as many people as possible out of this. So yeah, I do a lot of different stuff. All you have to do is hit my Service Plus, send me what's the name. I'll send you the link, or I can't say link, but I'll send you the address. On the top of my thing, on my profile, there's like that little address thing. Click that. It'll take you right there. It will take you right there, because Yeah, and I do free stuff, even though I had a friend that says, "Yo, you stupid." I read that book. That book is pretty good, man. What the hell is wrong with you? You can make money off of that. That's not the goal. The goal is to help people heal. And I know how hard it is to get and then maintain clarity. Because you're not maintaining it if you're going back. You're not maintaining it if you're scrolling through their social media. You're not maintaining it if you're always thinking about them. You know, you're not crazy. This person went out of their way to do some really crazy stuff to you. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Nope, sorry. I appreciate that for you being patient. But yeah, it's you're not stupid. Okay, get that out of your mind. You're not weak. You're not broken. You've just been patterned. And I just need people to see and understand the pattern because that's the only way you can break it. Okay, nobody expects this shit to happen to them in their life. Who wakes up one day and says, "Oh, I want to see what a narcissistic abusive relationship really feels like." Everybody online is talking about it. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. You didn't volunteer to be caught up with this asshole. So, with that being said, with that being understood, take advantage of what I'm giving you. Whether you take a paid option or a free option, take advantage of it. Okay. I think from the last few lives, I kind of like mapped out that I really have researched this, I really have studied this, and I really think that I'm in a position where I can help others get out of it, to help others from constantly having their mind race back to this piece of shit that was in their life. The dude only bullies, hey Marina, the dude only bullies me and my kids in front of other dudes. He's proper. Well, yeah, that's it's the mask. It's the mask. Though the narcissist only inflicts punishment on the people, batshit crazy, on the people that actually care about them. Because, and I'm going to tell you this before I get off, the narcissist does that because the narcissist feels that since they know what they're doing to you, they feel that for the fact that you love them, that you're stupid and you're weak. Because they can sense that you love them. They can sense that you're trying to fix them. And in their mind, that makes you the weakest person ever. You actually deserve what they're doing to you. They're trying to make you a better person. So by hurting you, again, that entitlement, they feel that they can do it. They feel that they're entitled to do it, And then, there's so many other dynamics. There's the scapegoat, black sheep of the family. There's the workplace narcissist. There's so many different dynamics. And I think, again, I'm to the stage now that I know I have flying monkeys that watch everything I do, but I don't care what you report back. The reason being is because this definitely isn't about those people that I had this distasteful experience with. This is about not only telling my truth, but letting other people know that, listen, I understand. I've been through it. You know, Long term watcher. Hey, Marina, thank you again. I appreciate that 100, 100, 100. But yeah, this is what it's all about. This is how we pay it forward, especially when we get out of this stuff, because they say that 6% of the population is narcissist. So that's actually 6 degrees of separation. So sooner or later, somebody is going to run into a narcissist and have their life turned upside down. But if we get clarity ahead of it, shit, they don't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance. So, like I said, visit my leave a comment, break free on any of my posts or videos or whatever. Leave a comment, break free. I go through those. Thank you, Marina, for the likes. I go through those multiple times a day. Um, go through those, right? Find one that resonates with you, right? Break free. I'll send you stuff that I think might help. You know, again, some of it is free, some of it, that has a price tag attached to it. The movement must move forward. I'm sorry. Um, But yeah, I think the first step is stop making excuses for your abuser. I think that's the first step that many people, because it's the classic for us. We make excuses for them. We say, oh, they're going through something. Oh, they wasn't raised right. Oh, they don't understand this. Oh, they don't understand that I love them. Oh, and we just keep on going down the line. We keep on going down the line trying to fix something. How do I stay silent when he insults me all day? Well, that's part of what narcissists do. This is done to make you lose confidence in yourself, to actually attach yourself to this person. Because if they can make you feel as if you are worthless, controlling you becomes that much easier. So this is like CIA level brainwashing, and I don't know your unique dynamic. That's why I would suggest that you look at the DSM-5, the things that I've just been reading from, and you decide from there. But this is like CIA level brainwashing. They do this for 4 months. Oh, the ignoring thing, Dolores. Oh my God, I could talk days about that. That's another thing to brainwash you. That's to make you, because how do you feel? You feel as if you did something wrong, and you feel as if you need to fix the problem. At least at the very bare minimum, find out why this person is upset. They do this to control you. Oh, I used to go through this all the time. All the time. Like, why aren't you speaking to me? What the hell? What did I do to you? Why are you acting like you hate me? Sound familiar? Sound familiar when you feel alone in your own house? And just when you're about to give it all up and you're about to say, you know what, F you, and pack your bags and go, here comes the love bombing. Here comes the person that you remembered from the beginning. But guys, I'm not a mental health professional. I would seriously suggest that you get the DSM-5. It's free online all over the place. Read through it. The criterion is they had to meet 5 of those criterion. I don't even think I went to the last one yet. No, I didn't, because that is the one I hate. They have arrogant or haughty behavior, and he barely talks to his kids. Well, that's punishment. Kids, I don't know why people think that narcissists care about their kids. What I think people, I think people need to always remember the narcissist doesn't care about anybody than themselves. And you just highlighted Dolores. He's more faithful to the gym than to me. Well, that's the purpose. He's more concerned with himself. He's more concerned with the mirror. He's more concerned with making sure that he stays in good physical shape. Because if he's got to get rid of you, he's got to use something to trap the next victim. Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, the arrogant or haughty behavior. He gets mad when I tell him to teach his son some life skills. Oh my God, we could talk forever. We could talk forever, my dear. We really could. I don't want to get too personal online with this, but I think you hit the nail right on the head. And this kind of explains that the narcissist really cares about nobody but themselves. Their kids, their family, their wife, their girlfriend, their boyfriend. It doesn't matter. Name a person. They don't care if it's not them. Doesn't want anything to do with them. Well, you know, again, clarity is very important. Kids seem to, I guess, the way the world is set up for instant gratification right now, I think kids see things a little bit quicker than they did in our generation. I don't even know how old you are. I just said my generation, like we're the same age. But anywho, I think kids see things differently. Um, he has moved to a new supply and called me crazy. Well, you know what? The new supply. Here's the deal, and here's the deal. Never, ever, ever worry about the new supply. Do you know why? And I'm going to tell you this, and then I got to get off soon. Okay. I'm going to tell you the reason why you never worry about the new supply is because, like what I said earlier, it's the same script. It's just a different person in a different place. You are starting to come out of the fog. You are gaining clarity. Okay. Well, Let me finish one thing at a time. You are gaining clarity. Okay, you're ahead of the new supply. What makes you think that the new supply is going to get anything different from that person? What do you think the new supply is going to get that's different? They're going to go through the same exact thing you went through. They're going to go through the love bombing, they're going to go through the devaluation, and eventually they're going to go through the discard. It plays out every time. Depending on how good a supply that person is to him or her, depends on how long they're going to string it out. But it always ends the same. It begins the same and it ends the same. Again, like I said, we're looking at a virus. A virus starts its life cycle the same and it ends it the same. A parasite starts its life cycle the same and it ends it the same. You know. Yes, reclaiming yourself, Marina. You are right. You have to actually pour into yourself. You have been Most people that have been in narcissistic relationships have spent most of that time period pouring into a person that never planned on pouring back into you. There is no rule that says that you can't pour into yourself. I don't care which religious document you look at. I don't care which Bible or Quran you look at. There's nothing that says you can't pour into yourself. I mean, even Buddha tells you to pour into yourself. So maybe now is the time that you start pouring into yourself. Don't worry about the new supply. Don't worry about them. And if you're following their social media, detach. Detach. There's nothing there. I'm going to be that cop that tells you there's nothing to see. Move on. So yeah, just don't start focusing on yourself. Don't focus on them anymore. They had if the amount of time you said you got kids that's 21, so that's been a long time. So at what point, and I say this often to help survivors understand this crazy dynamic, at what time do you spend this amount of time with this person that claims that they love you, that claims that they care about you, and they just move on? What human being does that at the end of the day? They just move on as if you never existed. They act as if they just walked into another dimension and their brain was white. This is done on purpose. Do you know why? Because the narcissist plays the same game. After they leave you, guess what they know that you want? Think. They know since you're a human being, you want closure. No matter how it turns out, that's the last weapon that they got on you. Closure. Because they're never giving it to you because they know that you want it. You telling this person, hey, can we just talk? Hey, I don't understand what went on. Hey, they're sitting up there looking at the text messages laughing because they got what they wanted. That is what they wanted from the beginning. And I don't know who's cursing in my live or saying off topic stuff, but TikTok is blocking you. I'm never even going to see it. I'm sorry. I'm not even seeing it. So yeah, that's what they want from you. That is exactly what they want from you. They want you to always, it makes them feel in their sick, demented mind, the more that you come back asking for closure, asking them to explain themselves, asking them to show you just a little bit of humanity, hell, just give you respect for the time you have spent with them. The more that you ask for that, the more powerful they feel. Now they feel that they have something that they can hold against you. Like I said, guys, if you don't follow me, I would like it. But, just go to my page because I don't get the Service Plus stuff or I don't know how to use it after I get off of this live. Find a post, comment, break free. Like I said, I go through that multiple times in the day, and I will actually send you stuff, to help you break free. Some stuff is free, some stuff has a price tag. It's on you. And I think I have a I think until the 29th, I made, well, there's a special bargain. There is. I'm not even going to call it a bargain. It's just something to help people get what they need, to get the help, to get the support that they need. I do think that one-on-ones actually help people. I do. I kind of wish that people were doing that when I was going through this. I think I would have jumped in, instead of paying a copay for a therapist. But again, I always say this: if the thought even crossed your mind that you need to speak to a therapist or a mental health professional, go for it. Don't even second guess that; just go for it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we learned a few things here. A couple of good things that we can walk away with. We learned what defines a narcissist or a person with narcissistic personality disorder. Makes it easier if you're not in that dynamic or you don't understand that dynamic. Makes it easier for you to spot it. Again, go get a printout or put a picture on your phone with the DSM-5. It goes a long way to helping you get past that confusion, especially in a new relationship. Those relationships that go too fast and you just don't have time to think. And next thing you know, this person has moved in and you gave them keys and everything else. And you're like, how did this happen? The narcissist does that on purpose. Okay, they do that on purpose. Yeah, we learned that there are resources out there. There's free resources out there. I actually host some of those. And we also learned that sometimes you have to trust your intuition. Sometimes you have to just let it bubble to the top. What's this all about, Deb? We almost out of here. We almost had it, but thank you for joining, Deb. I appreciate you. Um, it's about narcissistic abuse and understanding narcissistic abuse and how to spot it so that you don't get caught up in it. And I go live just about every day. So, join in probably tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be 2 o'clock. Like I said, I have a non-for-profit, so I have to actually do a digital magazine over the weekend. I got to finish that up, but I'll try to get it done. I'll try to get it done so that I can get on. Thank you, Bob Hazlet too. Thank you, I appreciate you. You're wonderful too. You're wonderful too. I think everybody is wonderful except the freaking narcissists. They're not wonderful at all. With that being said, let me go ahead, let you guys go. Let me get out of here, get some work done. And again, follow me, leave a comment or something that says break free. I'll send you what you need to get through this. And I'm kind of proud of the new course, Breaking the Trauma Bond in 7 Steps. Notice that I didn't say 7 days because sometimes it doesn't happen in 7 days. Sometimes it doesn't happen in 7 months. I can attest to that. So yeah, breaking free from the trauma bond in 7 steps. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that I got out there for you guys. And the reason why I do everything that I do is because I want you to stay powerful. I want you to keep healing, and of course, love you guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Okay, I gotta end this one.